As the last stars vanished with the dawn over New Terra City, Admiral Maya Ito stood silhouetted against the expansive window of the underground command center. She watched as alien warships descended with a predatory grace. Below, the city buzzed unknowingly, its inhabitants wrapped in their morning routines, oblivious to the impending threat. Over the comm link, a voice laced with urgency and contempt crackled. "Admiral Ito, this is Overlord Vec of the Stellar Coalition. We have bypassed your primitive defenses. Surrender is your only sensible option." Turning slowly, Maya's face was a mask of calm resolve, a ghost of a smirk playing on her lips. "Overlord Vec, you underestimate us. Welcome to Earth." As she spoke, hidden screens around her flickered to life, revealing the shimmering outlines of Earth's secret weapon, a fleet of cloaked ships, poised and invisible against the backdrop of space, now awaiting her command. The sun had barely crested the horizon over New Terra City, casting long shadows between the skyscrapers that lined its bustling streets. Despite the early hour, the city hummed with energy, a stark contrast to the silent dread that hung over the command center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Admiral Maya Ito stood before a massive screen, the blue light casting her weathered features in stark relief. The screen displayed a live feed of vast, sleek ships hovering ominously in Earth's orbit, ships belonging to the Stellar Coalition, whose intentions were anything but peaceful. "Admiral, all systems are green. Phase 1 is operational," reported Lieutenant Haru, his voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. His fingers danced across a console, adjusting the feed's focus. "Good. Keep them believing we're blind and limping," Maya replied, her gaze fixed on the alien vessels. She turned to address the room, where her team monitored every possible frequency and movement from the enemy. "Let them laugh at our antiquated defenses. It will be their undoing." Outside, the world went about its morning unaware of the knife hanging over its head. Maya preferred it that way, better to shield them from the terror of what could be, should they fail here today. The comm link crackled to life, breaking the tension momentarily. "Admiral Ito, this is Overlord Vec of the Stellar Coalition. We have detected only your primitive radar systems. Surrender is your only sensible option. Do not force us to destroy your quaint planet out of mere obligation." The room fell silent, waiting for their leader's response. Maya's lips twitched into a wry smile, but her eyes were ice cold as she keyed the microphone to respond. "Overlord Vec, Earth thanks you for your generous concern," she began, her voice dripping with feigned deference. "However, we are quite attached to our acquaintance. We shall respectfully decline your offer." A murmur of approval whispered through the command center. Vec's reply was a low chuckle, devoid of any humor. "Very well, Admiral. But remember, mercy is not a trait we admire. Prepare for our arrival." As the transmission ended, Maya turned back to her crew, her expression now all business. "You heard him. Positions, everyone. Phase 2 begins now." Quickly, the crew returned to their tasks, each member acutely aware of their part in the ruse. In orbit, the outdated satellites and radar dishes that Earth had left visible to the probing eyes of the Coalition did indeed seem laughable. But hidden by the latest cloaking technology, a fleet of advanced warships lay in wait, Earth's real defense. "Haru, status on the Cloaked Fleet?" Maya asked, keeping her voice calm, though her heart raced with anticipation. "All ships report ready, Admiral. On your command?" Maya nodded, taking one last look at the screen where the enemy's ships began their slow, arrogant descent towards Earth. "Hold until my mark. Let them think they've won, right up until they lose." The morning's calm in New Terra City was deceptive. Beneath its serene veneer, the heart of Earth's defense, buried deep within the Rocky Mountains, thrummed with silent urgency. Inside the command center, Admiral Maya Ito watched the alien ships descend with clinical detachment, each move calculated, every outcome anticipated. Lieutenant Haru turned from his console, his face shadowed with concern. "Admiral, initial scans from the enemy fleet are coming in. They're as arrogant as we expected, focusing only on the visible defenses." Maya nodded, her eyes never leaving the screen. Perfect. Let them feel secure in their ignorance. Prepare Phase 2, and wait for my signal. On the screen, the sleek forms of the Stellar Coalition's ships sliced through Earth's atmosphere, their commanders confident of an easy victory. Below, the city stirred unaware, the morning rush blurring into a routine of blissful ignorance. Ma'am, communications from the surface are questioning the increased activity. How should we proceed? A young officer asked, his voice tinged with the tension that filled the room. Continue with the blackout on military operations. No one outside this room needs to know the full scope until necessary, Maya responded sharply, her focus unbreakable. We can't afford panic. It would only complicate our plans. Outside the command center's secure walls, the world continued its day, the skies deceptively calm. But above, hidden by advanced cloaking technology, Earth's real defense awaited a fleet of ships armed with technology so advanced it made the old radar stations look like children's toys. Haru updated, his voice steady. Cloaked Fleet is at ready, Admiral. Awaiting your command to engage. Maya paused, her decision weighing heavily on her. This was the moment of truth. On my mark, she finally said, her voice low. Let them enter the trap fully. The Stellar Coalition ships began their landing protocols, their commanders smugly assured of their impending victory. In their eyes, Earth was a low-hanging fruit, ripe for the taking, just another notch in their expansion through the galaxy. But as the largest of the ships, commanded by Overlord Vec himself, descended toward the main spaceport, Maya's finger hovered over the console. Now, she whispered, and Haru relayed the command. In an instant, the sky changed. Where there had been nothing, suddenly, dozens of ships materialized, their advanced weaponry locking onto the stunned alien fleet. The illusion of Earth's defenselessness shattered in a moment of pure revelation. Admiral Ito to all units, Maya's voice boomed over the comm, empowered and clear. Engage the enemy. Show them what Earth really has to offer. As the battle commenced, the skies over New Terra City erupted into a dazzling display of tactical prowess. Earth's ships darted between the larger, clumsier alien crafts, their attacks precise and devastating. Back in the command center, Maya watched as the tide turned. Her crew worked flawlessly, a machine of her making, each member crucial to the unfolding victory. The screens lit up with reports of coalition ships taking damage, their initial confidence evaporating into the vacuum of space. This is Admiral Ito, she declared, her voice echoing through every ship, every station. Keep the pressure. Push them back. Earth is not for the taking. The skies above New Terra City transformed into a canvas of chaos and strategy as Earth's cloaked fleet revealed its might. Admiral Maya Ito watched from the command center, her face a mask of concentration, her mind racing through tactics and countermeasures. Status report, Maya demanded, her voice cutting through the low hum of background noise in the command center. Lieutenant Haru responded without taking his eyes off his screen. Initial surprise was successful, Admiral. Stellar Coalition forces are in disarray, but they're beginning to regroup. We've taken out 3 of their scouts and 2 cruisers. Maya nodded, processing this information. Keep the pressure. Divert Squadron 6 to flank the regrouping forces. We can't let them consolidate. Outside, the battle raged. Earth's ships, sleek and deadly, danced through the alien armada, exploiting every hesitation and misstep their enemies made. Each explosion of a coalition ship lit the sky with brief, brilliant light, a testament to Earth's hidden fangs. On the main screen, an image flickered as a new transmission came through. It was Overlord Vec, his face twisted not with arrogance now, but with fury and disbelief. Admiral Ito, this is not the end. You have made a grave mistake. Maya stepped closer to the communicator. To underestimate one's enemy is indeed a grave mistake, Overlord. One you seem to have made yourself. Vec's eyes narrowed. This battle is far from over. We have resources you can't imagine. Perhaps, Maya conceded, but as you can see, Earth is full of surprises. The channel went dead. Maya turned to her officers, her gaze fierce. Prepare for their next wave. They'll be more cautious now, but just as desperate. As predicted, the Stellar Coalition launched a more coordinated attack. Their cruisers, armed with heavy artillery, began bombarding Earth's atmospheric shields, each strike a thunderous echo felt even within the command center. Shields at 76% and holding, but we can't take a prolonged bombardment, reported Haru, his voice tense. Maya assessed the battlefield, her mind racing. Redirect energy from non-essential sectors to reinforce the shields. Send out the drone decoys to draw their fire. We need to buy some time. On Earth's surface, the population watched the sky with a mix of fear and awe. The battle was a spectacle of lights and sounds, but the danger was all too real. In homes and shelters, families huddled together, hoping for a swift end to the conflict. Back in orbit, Maya's strategy began to take effect. The drone decoys worked perfectly, drawing much of the enemy's firepower away from the fleet. Earth's ships seized the opportunity, moving in with precision strikes that disabled 2 more coalition cruisers. Admiral, we have a breach in Sector 7. One of their boarding parties has landed, announced a tactical officer, urgency clear in his voice. Maya's response was immediate. Deploy ground defense units. I want those intruders contained and neutralized. This is our planet, and we will defend every inch of it. The ground battle was fierce. Coalition troops, trained for combat in a variety of environments, found themselves met with equally prepared Earth forces. The invaders were skilled, but Earth's defenders had the advantage of fighting on their own soil, with everything to lose. As the chapter drew to a close, Maya watched the progress of the ground battle, her face set in a grim line. Above, Earth's fleet continued to harry the alien ships, each pass tightening the noose around the coalition forces. This is our home, Maya whispered to herself as she observed the battle. We defend it today for tomorrow's peace. The battle for New Terra City had entered its most critical phase. In the command center buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Maya Ito monitored the relentless assault on Earth's defenses. Her face, usually an unreadable mask, now showed traces of concern as reports flooded in. Admiral, the enemy has launched a new type of missile. It's faster and more agile than the others, Lieutenant Haru reported, urgency coloring his voice. Maya leaned over the console, her eyes scanning the data. Deploy our pulse disruptors. Target the missile's guidance system. We can't let them breach the atmosphere. The command was executed with precision, and the incoming missile swerved off course, detonating harmlessly in the upper atmosphere. Cheers broke out around the room, but Maya remained focused. Stay alert, she warned. They're testing our defenses, looking for weaknesses. Be ready for anything. On the battlefield, the Stellar Coalition's desperation became evident. Overlord Vec, feeling the sting of unexpected resistance, ordered his forces to target civilian areas, hoping to force Maya's hand. We've intercepted communications. They're planning a strike on the eastern residential sectors, a communications officer relayed. Maya's jaw tightened. Evacuate those sectors immediately. Send in more drones to cover their retreat. As the civilians rushed to safety, Earth's forces prepared for the worst. In the skies, the battle intensified, with Earth's fleet maneuvering to intercept any threats. Admiral, our scouts report that the enemy flagship is moving into position. It seems they're preparing for a major offensive, Haru updated, his face grim. Maya studied the tactical display. They're desperate, she muttered. Haru, redirect the Third Fleet to flank them. If we take out their flagship, it might break their resolve. The maneuver was risky, exposing part of Earth's fleet to a counterattack, but the gamble paid off. The Third Fleet caught the enemy flagship off guard, unleashing a barrage that crippled its engines and weapons systems. Flagship has been disabled, Admiral. They're in disarray, Haru exclaimed, a note of triumph in his voice. Maya allowed herself a brief nod of satisfaction before turning her attention back to the broader conflict. Good. Now, consolidate our defenses around the city. Protect the civilians at all costs. As night fell, the alien forces, thwarted and demoralized, began to withdraw, their invasion stalling. But Maya knew the battle wasn't over yet. She stood by the window, watching the night sky lit up by distant explosions, her mind already racing through the next steps. We've shown them we're not the easy target they expected, she said to her team, her voice resonant with determination. But we need to stay vigilant. Repair and reinforce our defenses. This is just the beginning. The dawn was breaking, casting a soft light over the city that had withstood the night's onslaught. Admiral Maya Ito stood at the observation deck of the command center, her eyes scanning the horizon where the last of the enemy's ships were retreating. The battle for Earth had been brutal, but they had prevailed. Now the real work would begin. Admiral, the enemy fleet has completed their withdrawal. Our scouts confirm they're moving out of the system, Lieutenant Haru reported, his voice a mix of relief and fatigue. Maya nodded, her face reflecting the weight of their victory. Begin damage assessments. Prioritize civilian areas first. We need to know what needs to be rebuilt. As the sun rose higher, casting golden hues across the damaged city, Maya walked through the command center. Her team was busy coordinating relief efforts and rebuilding plans. Despite the exhaustion evident on every face, there was a palpable sense of pride and newfound resolve. Ma'am, we've established a temporary aid station in Sector 7. Medical units are on site, treating the injured. Also, power has been restored to most of the residential districts, a young officer updated her, clipboard in hand. Good, keep the updates coming. Every hour on the hour, Maya instructed, then turned her attention to a makeshift communication setup where messages from civilians were being broadcast. Thank you, Earth Defense. We saw what you did last night. We're safe because of you, one caller's voice cracked with emotion. Maya paused, listening to the voices of gratitude coming through, her stern demeanor softening slightly. Make sure these messages reach our people on the front lines. They need to hear this, she said quietly. Walking away from the communications area, Maya approached a large digital map detailing the entire city. Red markers indicated heavily damaged zones, while green markers showed areas that were secure and stable. Her strategic mind was already shifting from defense to recovery. Haru, set up a meeting with the city planners and emergency services. I want a full recovery operation underway by sunset. No delays, she commanded, her voice firm, echoing across the busy room. Yes, Admiral, Haru acknowledged, then hesitated. There's something else. Overlord Vec has requested to speak with you. He's offering a ceasefire. Maya paused, her expression unreadable. Put him through to my office. I'll handle it personally. In her office, the screen flickered to life, showing Vec, his posture less imposing than before, his tone conciliatory. Admiral Ito, you have defended your planet admirably. It is clear we underestimated Earth. I propose a truce. Maya listened, her gaze steady. A truce is a start. But understand this, Overlord Vec, Earth is not a playing field for galactic politics. We will defend our home, always. If you come in peace, you will find no better ally. If not, you will find no greater adversary. As the transmission ended, Maya looked out the window once more, her thoughts on the future. Earth had shown its strength, but more challenges would come. They would be ready.